everyone, in this video I'm going to be breaking down Jupiter's Legacy finale, the exciting, epic conclusion to Mark Millar's long-running Jupiter's Legacy saga, which began all the way back in 2013. It is finally ending now, and I feel like I've been waiting for this ending for years to finally get here, and it has finally arrived. And in this volume, Mark Millar is actually going to successfully provide answers to all of the mysteries he has been sprinkling throughout this entire series. So what is the deal with the aliens? How did all of the heroes on Earth get their powers, and why? And all the many other questions too. They will all be answered here, so that is pretty good. Now, let's see though, if Mark Millar sticks to the landing and gives us a satisfying conclusion and wrapping the story arc in a good way or not. So let's dive into it. Jupiter's Legacy finale. Jupiter's Legacy Volume 6, otherwise known as Jupiter's Legacy Finale, Volume 1, I guess? Written by Mark Millar, art by Tommy Lee Edwards, Matthew Dow Smith, and Lee Carter. This volume covers issues 1 through 5 of Jupiter's Legacy Finale. Before I dive into issue 1, let's do a quick refresher on all the characters. So on Earth, there are about 4 generations of heroes. The first generation is Sheldon, Grace, George Hutchins, and Walter Sampson. The second generation is Brandon and Chloe Sampson, Eddie Hutchins, aka Hutch, and Jules Sampson. And then beyond them, there are their children. So there's Hot Rod Hendricks, the son of Brandon Sampson. Chloe and Hutch ended up getting together, and they had 4 kids, Jason, Barney, Otto, and Sophie, although we did learn that Barney was actually fake, and he was actually just Jason in disguise in a civilian identity. Jason, he is married to Gabriella Hutchins, aka Neutrino, and they had a daughter, Maisie Hutchins. But Jason also, as Barney, was married to Ellen, so it kind of gets a little complicated there. And we were also introduced to 2 alien planets, Palarax and Shoboth. Palarax and Shoboth are at war with one another, but they also both covet Earth's resources. Palarax asked Earth to aid them, but they actually intended on screwing the Earth over, killing the Earth's heroes, and taking over Earth's resources for themselves. So, inevitably, Earth ends up going to war with Palarax. Before I explain everybody that dies, I have to also remind you of one random scene that you may have totally forgotten, but it's actually going to be very important. At some point last volume, before Earth and Palarax were at war with one another, Chloe visited Palarax, and while she was there, King Khotun was showing off some of his electric flash powers, and he managed to take down a spaceship. And aboard the spaceship was an unnamed, creepy, weird-looking alien. This alien is named Captain Nazek. The Palaraxians tried to use their psychic powers to read the alien, but that kind of failed. King Khotun, he said, "There's something about him that I really don't like. I can't put my finger on it, but he really unsettles me. Stick him in a cell and make sure he's comfortable. We'll get to the bottom of it once we're back from Earth." So this Captain Nazek guy, this throwaway kind of character, barely explained last volume, is going to be majorly important in this volume. Alright, so the Earth and the Palaraxians and the Shoboth people, they all start fighting. Brandon Sampson got killed off first by a secret Palarax force sent to Earth early on to discreetly take some people out. And then once the war fully kicked off, Otto Hutchins got killed on the planet Palarax. He was sliced in half. Gabriella, aka Neutrino, she got killed off by the Palaraxian known as Prince Caius. He killed her on Earth with sadistic joy. He placed a coin in her mouth, and he forced her to use her powers to shrink down to the size of a coin so her body would explode. It was a brutal kill. In the course of fighting on Earth, Barney Hutchins lost his secret identity, and everyone learned it was Jason the entire time. And in the final moments of last volume, on planet Palarax, when everything seemed really dire for Earth's forces that were taken there, Eddie Hutchins, aka Hutch, aka Skyfox, he sacrificed himself. He used his power rod, that ridiculously overpowered rod, and he transported himself and a few enemy Palaraxians, including their king, King Khotun. He transported them all into the heart of a black hole, killing himself, but also killing many others too. And that is the cliffhanger we ended last volume on. And this volume will pick up just moments after that. Here is one last look of all the main players. We have the Earth people on the top, the Palaraxians and the Shobothians at the bottom right, that Captain Nazak alien dude on the top right, and little red X's on everyone who is dead. So take one last look at this, and now let us begin. Jupiter's Legacy Finale, Issue 1. So on planet Palarax, immediately after Hutch's sacrifice, Queen Berilia taunts Chloe, saying, "You stupid bitch, who cares about your husband? What about mine?" She then kicks Chloe and orders her forces to kill Chloe now, as well as Chloe's daughter, Sophie, too. Then in disgust, she says, "I want this shit over with." Meanwhile, back on Earth, Jason Hutchins is squaring off against Prince Caius. Jason currently has no powers because some of the Palaraxians there are capable of blocking his powers. So Jason is kind of useless right now. Prince Caius gets word from Palarax that Jason's father, Hutch, is dead, so he gloats a bit. Prince Caius then manages to, using his powers, take a car, lift it in the air, and smash Jason with it. Caius then tells his men, "Let's go, we need to find his kid." He's referring to Maisie. He says, "I know she isn't much of a threat, but she's still a super and I don't want any loose ends before the invasion." Prince Caius assumed that Jason died getting crushed by the car since Jason's powers were blocked. But it turns out Jason survived because when his father Hutch died last volume, immediately after that happened, Hutch's power rod transported to Jason, his son, as part of his inheritance. And the power rod managed to save Jason's life. When Prince Caius, confused, asks, "What the hell is this?" Jason holds the rod and says, "My dad's inheritance." Jason then, using the rod, shoots the people that were blocking his powers, leaving Prince Caius alive. Prince Caius questions, "What? Why them instead of me?" Jason answers, "They were the ones blocking my powers." Jason, with his powers back now, decides to hit Caius, smashing him into the ground, although he does leave him alive. Jason, with his powers now returned, begins flying into the sky, and then now with the power rod, he says, "Take me to Palarax and any family I have left." So then, boom, the overpowered power rod transports Jason across the galaxy to planet Palarax, where he can join in on the fighting. When Jason arrives on Palarax, he immediately begins turning the tide of battle. Jason, he smashes through many Palaraxian forces, and then he gets right up into the face of the queen. Jason threatens the queen, saying, "Now where's the king? Tell me where your husband is, or so help me God, I'll kill everyone in your palace." The queen responds, "He's dead. Your father killed him. But you'd better kill me too, because we're not going to stop here. It's our job to protect the people of this world, and if that means slaughtering everyone on yours, then so be it." All of a sudden, though, Jason begins screaming out in pain, and he drops to his knees. Jason's sister, Sophie, asks the queen, what is she doing to him? But it wasn't the queen doing this. We see some of Palaraxian's enemies from the planet Shoboth have arrived. Their leader, Lord Kelvin Xanus, says, "This isn't Queen Berilia doing it, this is me doing what I do. My superpower is causing pain. I just have to think it, and the rest of you feel it. This should keep the heroes busy while our armies launch their invasion." So planet Shoboth is going to take this opportunity to take down planet Palarax, as the Palaraxians are now weak. As the rest of the day goes on, many of the invading armies now of Shoboth have arrived on Palarax. All while the entire time, Jason and Queen Berelia and some of the others are just screaming out in pain thanks to this Lord Xanus. Chloe asks, "What's going on here? Who are these people?" Lord Xanus answers, "We're her big rivals, the people of Shoboth. We've been after this world of theirs for years, but we never had the numbers to beat them outright. That's where you come into the picture. You slaughtered their supers and thinned out the herd, and now we can come and just pick up the pieces. Don't worry, it isn't going to hurt for long, because now we're going to kill you and invade this planet Earth everyone seems so excited about. We knew our worlds were doomed to die, but now it looks like you've found us an alternative." With Lord Xanus now seemingly having won, he gives an order to his right-hand man, Balthazar. He tells him, "You may slay their queen now, Balthazar." This Balthazar seems against this, though. Xanus continues, "Don't be shy. Your sword has slain 10,000 of my enemies. What's the difference now?" Balthazar answers, 10,000 men, sir. I've never killed a woman." Balthazar's wife, a woman named Alexandra, she protests, saying, "Your Highness, please." Lord Xanus won't stand for this. He tells Alexandra, "Silence, whore! Know your place. Your job now is the head of my harem. Your husband's job is to do my bidding. If you fail, the 1,000 subjects I spared from your kingdom die like this bitch." Xanus then grabs a random woman and slices her head off. Xanus then tells Balthazar, "See, it's not that difficult. It actually is very enjoyable when you get started. Now we need to slaughter all the super people before we leave. We can't leave anyone to protect the Earth." Balthazar reluctantly slaughters Queen Berelia, killing her. Lord Xanus is pleased. He thinks that they should kill Sophie Hutchins next. Lord Xanus' son, Ketes Xanus. He speaks up for his father, saying, "Dad did his homework on all you bastards. We needed to see what we were up against. Even while Palarax was plotting their invasion, we needed to be clever and know where all the pieces were." Xanus interrupts his boy, saying, "Quiet." Ketes questions, "What is it, father?" Xanus says, "Look at the sky. There's something going on back home." Up in the sky, Lord Xanus sees his home planet of Shoboth. He sees his entire homeworld get taken out in a matter of moments by a big, thick blue nanocloud that processes and destroys the entire world. Xanus, looking into the sky, says, "What the fuck?" Jupiter's Legacy Finale, Issue 2. Lord Xanus and his invading Shoboth force teleport back to their home planet to see what happened. When they arrive, they are shocked. They asked, Where is everyone?" Everyone on the entire planet is now gone, and there is no sign of life. The entire place has been terraformed in a matter of 5 minutes. Lord Xanus asks his teleporter if he made a mistake, but the teleporter answers, "We're standing where the courtyard used to be, your highness, in the middle of your royal palace. This was the heart of our nation's capital, and it was all wiped out in an instant." Xanus' son, Ketes, says, "Father, when I find out who's behind this abomination, Xanus just pushes his son off and says, "Oh, fuck off, Ketes. Just fuck off." And then Xanus sheds a tear for his destroyed homeworld. Back on Palarax, the Earthlings, as well as some of the Palaraxians, are wondering what the hell is going on here. And that is when, finally, Captain Nazek, the Palaraxians' prisoner that they captured last volume, that they were not sure what his deal was, well, the alien finally speaks. He says, "Tell your leaders I've got all the answers if they let me out of this stupid cell. I'm bored just sitting here biding my time. So eventually, Captain Nazak the alien is brought out of his cell, and he is brought before the Palaraxians, as well as the Shobathians that have came back, as well as the members of Earth that are here. They start pushing the alien around and say, "You're gonna tell us everything you know, you piece of shit." The alien responds, "I was gonna tell you anyway, you don't need to frickin' hit me." Jason, he wonders, how can this alien communicate so easily with everyone? The alien then pulls out his translator box, which was one of the big mysteries in this series. What is this box? As Jason had one from his grandfather. The alien explains, "It's a translator box. Have you never seen one of these? Ridiculously expensive, but essential in my game. I work with literally thousands of different species, and it saves me learning all the different languages and colloquialisms." Sophie asks Nazak, "Who are you?" Nazak answers, "Let's just say I manage the safari, but we'll get to that later. In the meantime, I want to talk about you people." Chloe questions, "Who, superhumans?" Nazak answers, "No, I mean, what are you at your most fundamental level? How do I explain this in terms you'll understand? Have you wondered what your fingerprints are? Or why you love your children so much? Have you never considered why your entire lives are based around finding the perfect mate and replicating your genetic material as urgently as possible? Because this is why you all work so hard and feel insecure when you look in a mirror. Every decision you make in your lives is based around these two biological imperatives, and a higher intelligence constructed you this way." The alien will now reveal to them all the mystery of the universe, why they are here and how they came to be. He says, "You're here to fuck and you're here to breed. Literally nothing else you will ever do is of any consequence. The rock you cling to, it wasn't an accident. The food you eat, all carefully worked out for you. The terrible truth is, you're just animals in a field. The human race is only here to be farmed. Think about what perfect livestock you are. You only have to drop a handful near water, and a short time later the animals are covering the entire globe. You feed yourselves, you clean yourselves, you look after your own sick. You were designed to be very resourceful, and to sacrifice anything for those little eggs you're so desperate to fertilize. Sure, the farmers have to cultivate your environments, but you're largely self-sustaining. And once you're up and running, you're a very low-maintenance revenue stream. We then gather you up and your bones are used for mixing paints, your pineal glands for life extension, your appendixes are a much-loved delicacy, and what's left over just goes in the big machine. Pet food, I think. Does that mean the same thing on your world as it does on ours? Everything you do in life is just killing time. Your ideas, your accomplishments, these hobbies and interests you think make you so special and unique, your music and songs and art and cinema are of no more value than the noise a cricket makes as it rubs its hind legs together. The strange thing you do to fill your days as you select your mates and give us the babies we want, amusing yourselves with constant distraction, never stopping to think what you truly are, why you're even here. What are you? Who made you? Why were you programmed to love these screaming, shitting children so much? Jason, he cuts in and says, "Even if this is true, we'll never let you harm the human race. The world isn't alone while we're here to protect them." The alien to this answers, "And who do you think put you here, you imbecile? The superhero's only real function is to take care of the livestock, keep the meat safe from alien rustlers or accidents or killing themselves in war. You heroes were picked because you were the most appropriate. A signal sent out on each of the worlds as a challenge to bring the perfect candidates." So what the alien is explaining here is that the reason there are heroes on Earth and they were drawn to the island, or even on Palarax they were drawn to the mountain, or on Shobath they were brought to the arena. The aliens just did that and bestowed powers on the heroes to help them maintain the livestock. The alien says, "You're just guard dogs designed to keep the wolves at bay, and you were hardly the first of their protectors. We've done this countless times before, moving around from planet to planet, culling the herd when the numbers were right, or you looked like you were venturing beyond the boundaries. The farmhands just leave crop circles on the ground, a note for the skies that the cattle are ready for our periodic processing. Where do you think your legends came from? The pyramids, the lost cities, your pantheon of gods? The Greeks, the Romans, the Egyptians, the Sumerians? A gigantic flood to cleanse the world and start it all again once we've terraformed the environment? You're just the latest in a long line of losers. But this is where my team comes into the picture. In the old days, we just switched off your powers and processed you with the others, but where's the fun in that? Some of your abilities really are quite spectacular, and there's serious money to be made in safaris. Soon the farmers will slaughter the human herd with their big blue nanoclouds and process all of them in a matter of minutes. But now the shooting parties get time with you first. Superhuman trophies being very collectible in homes around the cosmos. They'll be a little mad that they missed you on Shoboth earlier, but they'll get you in a week when they come for this world. This is the crew that came to Earth last time, and they've still got the big boss in their trophy room. He called himself the Father of the Gods, and even the other superheroes called him their king. The people named him Zeus, I think. Or perhaps it was Jupiter. What a fight he put up before our customers took him down. Lord Xanus of Shoboth is furious. He wants to slay Captain Nazak now. But Nazak just says, "There's nothing you can do, Xanus. This has been happening for billions of years. Just enjoy your gorgeous times and accept your inevitable position in the food chain." Oh yes, one last thing before I go. Your fingerprints? No two patterns are the same, right? Well, I'm afraid they're just barcodes, categorization tools for our machines to store when they consume you in the processing. Isn't that clever? With Captain Nazak done his speech, he is dragged away back to his cell. Lord Xanus, after hearing this speech, says, "I don't care what that liar says. We'll have superhumans from Earth and Palarax and Shoboth when they appear. I've never lost a battle and I won't start now. I am Lord Calvin Xanus, and I shit out my enemies every morning. If we have to die when we fight these bastards, we'll take 1,000,000 of them with us." After Xanus finishes this motivational speech, he immediately gets cut down by his number 2, Balthazar, that says, "Fuck you," as he slices Xanus with his sword. Everyone in the crowd is shocked. Balthazar says, "Nobody's fighting under this man. He's as much a monster as anything we're facing here." Sophie, confused, asks, "Balthazar, what are you doing? We need all the help we can get if this is really happening." Balthazar's wife, Alexandra, replies, "We don't need his help. My husband and I only served him to spare the lives of our remaining people back on Shoboth." Balthazar chimes in, "Now that they're gone, he has no hold over us. I'd rather die than fight by his side." In the aftermath of all this conversation, Jason is feeling really low. He worries there is no chance they can win. And maybe Alien was right. Maybe we don't really love our children. They just made us that way so we would look after them. Jason's mom asks, "Are you really telling me you don't love Maisie?" Because that's the flaw in their plan, Jason. They designed us to sacrifice everything for our children, and this is how we're going to beat them. I've lost my husband and youngest child. You've lost your father and your brother and poor Gabriella. Are you really going to let them take your daughter too? It doesn't matter where we came from. I don't give a shit what we really are. All that matters is what we do now. And I didn't raise you to walk away from a fight, Jason Hutchins. Now are you gonna stand for your little girl?" Jason pauses for a moment, and then he flies up high into the sky. He's going to work on a plan. Jupiter's Legacy Finale, Issue 3. The artist on the book now switches from Tommy Lee Edwards to Matthew Dow Smith. On planet Palarax, they figure they have about 7 days until the rest of Captain Nazek's Safari forces come to hunt and kill them all. So they are developing a plan, and that plan is to fall back to Earth and regroup there. So the Palaraxian known as Bridge is currently teleporting people to Earth. He can teleport about 40,000 people an hour, but the population of Palarax is about 10 billion, so they are not going to be able to move them all. But Sophie, whose superpower appears to be like building stuff or something, she's working on a large machine that she thinks will be able to get it done. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Jason has teleported back there, and he is talking to the President of the United States, and he explains to her that he brings bad news from deep space. The world of Palarax has 7 days to live, and 10 billion refugees need immediate sanctuary. Their planet will be decimated 1 week from now, and Earth will be next just 7 days later. Jason then explains that they have to combine their forces against this threat. Otherwise, everything they've ever known will be utterly annihilated. Later on, once Jason goes back to Palarax, he is sitting in thought. Balthasar's wife, Alexandra, talks to Jason. Jason, he discusses that weird device that Captain Nazek showed earlier, the translator device. Jason explains how he had one on Earth and he spent so long trying to figure out what it was. He thought it was a phone for talking with God, but it's just a stupid gadget for talking to tourists. An ancient piece of alien technology and no more impressive than Google Translate. Jason continues, "My other grandfather spent the final decades of his life trying to figure out how this connected to the Great Mystery. What a waste of time. I feel like an idiot putting so much of my life into it." Alexandra tries to make Jason feel better, and she thanks him for all of his help recently. Her and her husband were lost for years, but Jason has now given her a sense of purpose and a chance to be heroes again. As they are talking, Alexandra notices Prince Caius walking by. She asks Jason, "Is that the man who murdered your wife?" Jason answers, "It is." Alexandra says, "Don't worry, you'll get him later." As Prince Caius is walking around, Captain Nazek talks with him and says, "Wow, you seem about as popular as I am around here. Caius, isn't it? The little prince?" Caius answers, "My mother and father were king and queen." Nazek to this says, "That's right. You were killing all the heroes with the plan to invade Earth. Sneaky little shit. I read your file." Caius to this explains, "We were only trying to save our people, alien. I bore no ill will against anyone on planet Earth. This was merely my royal responsibility." Personally, I call bullshit on Prince Caius because when he killed Gabriella, he took some sadistic joy in that. But anyway, Caius is trying to go on a whole redemption arc now. Nazek tells Caius, "Yeah, well, they're letting you live for now, I guess. Bigger fish to fry and all that. But why do you think they spared my life when they know what I do? I plan to kill them all one by one like every other superhuman we've taken down on our hunts." Caius to this answers, "Because you pose no threat while we have you here. You're a prisoner of war, and all prisoners must be treated with certain protocol." Nazek looks into the sky and says, "Oh, Caius, you're funny. The farmers choose well when they send out these signals. They really find the most perfect idiots." Caius is confused when, all of a sudden, Nazek's reinforcements arrive. They are here for their hunt. Nazek asks, "Why did you think you had 7 days before they came for this world?" Caius answers, because you said so." Nazek, who is clearly lying, says, "Exactly. idiot. Now stand back and give me a little distance, please. I don't want blood on my uniform. So Nazek's alien bros are in the sky. Nazek then starts communicating with them, saying, Captain Nazek, the shooting party, take out these teleporters they're building. We don't want the animals getting out of the field. So all of a sudden, the big teleporter machine that Sophie was working on gets destroyed, blasted from the sky. And then some of Nazek's allies, as well as the aliens paying for the privilege of hunting the superhumans here, teleported down to Palarax's surface. They greet Nazek. Nazek, looking at the hunters, asks, Who are these guys? Is this another bachelor party? Nazek's ally says, No, it's just a friendship ritual from the Songhai system. It's the 500th anniversary of when they all went to university together. This isn't their first safari. Some of these guys were on Mars and Jupiter when the farmers were reseeding Earth last time. Nazek remembers them. He says, Oh yes, they're big tippers, I remember. Well, the hunting party begins hunting on Palarax and killing some of these superheroes here. All of the hunters have force field shields on, so they cannot be harmed. Jason, flying in the sky, is prepping to attack, but he just gets shot by one of the hunters and falls down to the surface. Captain Nazek then gives some more orders to his ship. He says, Boys, I'm getting worried about livestock damage, so I'm gonna process now and leave the supers for after. Computer, process everything except the superhumans and our shooting party, please. So all of a sudden, the blue nanoclouds begin processing planet Palarax. And what just went down on Shoboth begins happening here as well. Although they are leaving the superhumans and the hunting party here so that they can still have their sport. The superhumans left here on planet Palarax are worried though. They don't see any way they can win. Balthasar, talking to Sophie, says, We're too late. We can't help these people now. We just need to get to Earth and do our best to defend it. Nazek, overhearing this, says, Good luck with that. We've locked the skies in our electric grid. You guys are going nowhere. Sophie then realizes that Jason still has the power rod. He can use it to teleport them to Earth. It won't work for anyone else but him. It's only tuned to his biosignature. Sophie begins pleading with Jason. Jason, please, you have to wake up. We need you to take us all to Earth. We've only got a few more seconds. Jason, he manages to slowly come through, and then he grabs the power rod and says, Earth. And with that, Jason manages to teleport all the superhuman Earthlings, Palaraxians, and Shobothians that were still alive there on Palarax and bring them to Earth, to Paris. Once they are all on Earth, Chloe is saddened. There's 10 billion people they left back there to die. What about them? Well, back on planet Palarax, the remainder of the planet gets processed, and Captain Nazek and the hunting party head back to their ship. Nazek tells everyone there, It's no big deal, a little ragtag gang from 3 different worlds running around all out of breath and hiding on Earth. We should go back home and get some good sleep, and we'll finish these assholes in the morning. Jupiter's Legacy Finale, Issue 4. The artist on the book now switches from Matthew Dow Smith to Lee Carter, who will do issues 4 and 5. We have a flashback to 6 months earlier. Jason, aka the New Utopian, is giving a talk at an elementary school. The kids are giving Jason some softball questions, but then eventually one kid in class asks something a little complicated. He asks, What would you say to God if you met him? Jason is taken aback. He says, What? The kid clarifies, saying, When you die and go to heaven, what will you say when you meet your maker up there at the pearly gates? Jason, he thinks, it's a good question. I've never been asked that before. Give me some time to think. We're going to come back to this question later. We jump now to the current day. Jason is back on Earth, preparing for the invasion of these random aliens. But first, Jason has to smooth things over with his second wife, Ellen, the one that was married to Barney, which is Jason's secret identity. Jason is also there with his daughter, Maisie. Maisie is the daughter he had with his other wife, Gabriella. Jason tells Ellen, "I'm so sorry." Ellen, upset, says, "I don't even know what to say to you, Barney. I don't even know what to call you. I've heard of people who meet someone else, but becoming someone else is a first." Jason replies, "I don't know how to explain it. We just deal with things normal people can't imagine, and secret identities are our safety valve." Ellen to this says, "All those years you were cheating on me with Gabriella, and you had a little girl with my sister-in-law." Jason says, I know, I just wanted to make you both happy. I didn't think you'd find out. But we have to put all this to one side until the team and I have sorted this disaster we're facing." Jason, he gets ready to leave. He has to deal with the impending destruction of Earth coming. He tells Maisie to stay here and protect Aunt Ellen. Ellen begins breaking down and crying. Jason asks, "What's wrong?" Ellen says, "I'm pregnant." Ellen and Barney were trying to get pregnant for a while. Well, it looks like they finally did. Over in New York at the Union of Justice headquarters, Chloe and Sophie are checking on Jules Sampson. Jules is the son of Walter. Jules got his brain scrambled last volume and now he's in a coma. They're a little disappointed because they really could have used Jules in the oncoming battle. Chloe and Sophie then walk over to another hero that is capable of broadcasting onto every device in the world in every human language. So they get him to send out a distress call across the globe, saying, "Listen carefully, this is important. As I'm sure you've heard that the world is about to face an enemy unlike anything we have ever known. If we lose this fight, every man, woman, and child on the planet dies, and the human race will cease to exist. My team and I will do our best, but we can't win this fight alone. We need every super that can hear this message, no matter how small or insignificant you think your power might be. We need everyone who descended from the original superheroes to come to the Arizona desert, so they can fight this menace as soon as it appears. We'll try to contain things, but this is a global threat. Ordinary people need to lock themselves away, but if you have any superpowers at all, please come and fight beside us." Later on in the Arizona desert, Jason is there along with all the other heroes. They discuss some plans, and then eventually they are joined by all the other world's supers that heard the distress call message. Everyone arrives in the desert. There are hundreds of them. They are teleporting in from all over the world. Chloe comments, "I had no idea there were so many of us. Look at all these guys from China. I guess a lot of parents never handed in their babies, huh?" We then get ourselves a few cameos of other characters from Mark Millar's universe. We have Johnny Bolt arriving from Super Crooks. Johnny says, "I rounded up every supervillain I had on my cell phone, Lady Liberty. I just hope this isn't some clever ruse to smoke us out of hiding." Another super that arrives is Shockwave. She was the girlfriend of Neutrino, aka Gabriella, aka Jason's dead wife, before Jason and her got together. She says to Jason, "I heard about Gabriella, and I want you to know that it broke my heart. There might have been a lot of bad blood between us, but I really did love her, and I didn't mean to cause her any pain. My crew is here for anything you need." Jason hugs her and says, "Thank you, Shockwave." Brandon Sampson's son, Hot Rod Hendricks, arrives, now actually wearing a superhero uniform. Hot Rod says, "I hope you haven't started this thing without me, Aunt Chloe." Chloe responds, "I see you're wearing your father's old costume." Hot Rod to this says, "Well, I figured I had all these super suits hanging up in the house. Might as well try one on." Chloe responds, "It looks good on you. My brother would be very proud." The Palaraxian Prince Caius, he walks up to Jason and says, "I hope you know that I stand behind you here, Utopian. I did what I had to for the sake of my world, but these are my people now and you are my leader. Please understand that you have my absolute loyalty. Will you forgive me for what I've done and accept me as your ally for now?" Alright, I gotta go on a little rant here, okay? I gotta remind you all, last volume, Prince Caius had an affair with Jason's wife, Gabriella. And they were doing some, real dirty talk last volume. And then beyond that, he also killed her with sadistic joy, making her put a coin in her mouth and then forcing her to shrink down so her body would explode. So the fact that Prince Caius is now trying to go on a whole redemption arc this volume is really bullshit. It's like Millar doesn't remember how he wrote this character last volume. Anyway, Jason, for now, says, "There's bigger things than you and me going on here, Caius. We need all the help we can get." So they're gonna work together for now, and Jason shakes Prince Caius's hand. Jason now addresses the heroes with their plan. He says, "Now remember, the first wave is the hunting party. They'll only be targeting superhumans, but you have to make sure no civilians get hurt. I'm going to ask the Power Rod to take me to the aliens these guys work for. I can use the translator device to talk to them in their own language and use all my powers of persuasion." And just as Jason lays out the plan, Captain Nazek and the hunting party arrive through some sort of teleportation field in the sky. Nazek, he gloats, "I'm always amazed the super people never flee when they have the chance. You all have the power to escape the nanoclouds, but you always stay to protect your people. Stupid, of course, but a perfect illustration of how well the machines chose the correct personality types." Alright, the battle begins. Nazek's hunting party shoots and kills Hot Rod Hendricks immediately, shooting him in the chest with one of their laser guns. Nazek says to the hunting party, "Bag him up and cut his head off. Remember, there's nothing to be afraid of. They can't hurt you, and we can switch off their powers anytime we like." The hunting party then opens fire with their overpowered guns, and a whole bunch of heroes get taken down. We see Balthasar and his wife Alexandra getting shot, along with many others. Sophie and Chloe, looking at all the fighting and destruction and the death around them, ask, "How the hell do we fight this?" Jupiter's Legacy Finale, Issue 5. The conclusion of Jupiter's Legacy. Over in Siberia, a party of aliens are coming to kill Maisie and Ellen. Back in Arizona, the fighting is continuing. Jason attempts to take off into the sky to enact his plan. Chloe gets shot with a laser and falls down to the ground. The aliens begin walking over to her to end her, but Prince Caius on his redemption arc stops them and swoops in and says, "Get the hell away from her." He knocks some of the aliens back. He tries to fight them off. Caius yells, "Sophie, run! I've got this!" Caius then tries to use his laser vision to shoot at Captain Nazek, but it is just blocked by Nazek's force fields. Nazek gloats, "Our force fields were designed to block your stupid powers. The Rangers can even switch them off if we want to." The aliens then decapitate Prince Caius, and we see his head majestically flying through the battlefield. Sophie then uses her powers to control Jules Sampson, who is comatose. She makes Jules float into the battlefield and controls him, and uses Jules to fire lasers out of Jules' eyes at the aliens. Sophie explains, "My cousin Jules might be brain damaged, but he's still a world class, and I can work both our bodies at the same time." The blasts are just deflecting off the aliens' force fields. They ask Sophie, "How many times do we have to say it? Your blasts weren't designed to get through our force fields." Sophie responds, "Yeah? Well, how about your own blasts?" So Sophie, then using Jules, grabs onto one of the aliens, removes the aliens' masks, and then causes the alien itself to blast at the other aliens. So she takes a few of them down this way. Meanwhile, back in Siberia, one of the aliens is closing in on Ellen and Maisie. But Maisie, she grabs a gun called a temporal reducer, and she fires it at the alien. And then she uses another ridiculous weapon there that will disassemble the alien's atoms and reduce them into harmless consciousness. Well, it appears like Maisie is holding her own. Elsewhere, we jump to Jason. Jason uses his dad's power rod to teleport himself to the home base of these aliens behind this attack and harvesting. So, using the power rod, he eventually transports to a place called the lower fourth dimension. So Jason, he finally teleports in front of the aliens behind everything. The aliens think very little of Jason and are not worried. They nonchalantly say, kill it. Jason, he talks with the aliens saying, please, I didn't come here to fight you. I just need a moment of your time. The aliens are a little confused. They ask, how is this animal communicating with us? Jason shows that he has the translator device strapped to his arm. The aliens are somewhat impressed. They say, I've never heard them speak before. Jason, addressing the aliens, says, well then I hope you understand that we're just as real as you are, sir. We're not creatures without souls. We love our lives just as much as you love yours. I know you think we're just a brainless product, but believe me when I say how much we've strived in recent years. We've turned our world around and have so much to offer the rest of the universe if you'll only let us live and reach our full potential. I know how long you've been doing this and how many trillions of lives you've farmed, but I stand before you now as a father who loves his daughter and is begging you not to kill them. If you have children yourselves, you'll understand the power of these words and how we'll do literally anything to protect them. The aliens are not impressed. They say amongst themselves, they're very whiny, aren't they? I think I liked them better when I couldn't understand them. The aliens then tell Jason, you were only planted in the sea to be processed, little thing. This is just the natural order, and so it always has been. There's no malice in our actions. This was always your purpose, and our right as those who see the universe with our business. Our farmhands are on Mars now, preparing the next red world for the next herd. It takes a long time from your point of view, but only one season to your superiors. You're nothing special, and your desperate pleas are no more than grunts. Our call is why you exist. Jason responds to the aliens, please, don't make me do this. I've pledged to protect all life, but you leave me no choice if you threaten my family. You designed us to place our children over everything, and that includes our own moral codes. The alien responds to Jason, silly thing, it's already too late. The Rangers are on Earth with our invisible cloud, operated by our alien language. When Captain Nazak activates the nanoparticles he commands, your entire world will be processed in seconds. And we see just at that moment back on Earth, Captain Nazak is doing just that. He talks to the nanoclouds and says, computer, I've had enough of this shit. Process everything except the Rangers and the hunting party, please. After a few moments though, Nazak realizes nothing is happening. The cloud doesn't seem to be responding to him. And back in the fourth dimension, Jason, he says, computer, process everything on this world except me, please. The aliens there are shocked. They say, what? Jason says, the cloud works on voice command, and I speak every language in the universe thanks to this translator machine. The cloud followed me here because I told it to. See you in the next life. All of a sudden, the nanoclouds begin processing and destroying everything here on this planet except for Jason, and all the aliens here die. Back on planet Earth, Captain Nazak is starting to get worried. He yells at the computer, computer, switch their powers off right goddamn now. But it is not responding to Nazak. Chloe, standing tall, says, I don't think it hears you, Captain. I also have a feeling whatever was powering those force fields might not actually be there anymore. Should we put this to the test? Sophie, using her heat vision, blasts many of Nazak's allies down. Captain Nazak says, oh no, and Chloe flies over and punches him in the face, breaking his skull. Back on the lower fourth dimension, the homeworld of the aliens, the entire world has been processed into a blue, terraformed landscape. All the life on this planet is now gone except for Jason. Jason, standing there triumphant, says, "Don't say I didn't warn ya. We'll do anything for our children." Later on, Jason travels to Mars with his sister and mother. They are here to talk to a few of the remaining aliens left alive that were already on Mars, planning for the next farming season. They tell the aliens, "Don't try calling your homeworld. It's been obliterated just like everyone on it. You're not going to do those terrible things anymore. You're not going to farm human beings. You're going to leave now and tell people what happened, so no one threatens the Earth again. These worlds are under our protection now." The aliens then run off scared into their ship and take off and fly away. In the aftermath of these events, the mystery of life was now solved and shared. It gave humanity a sense of closure, and all of the world's old problems were reduced to nothing in the light of the world's new rational perspective. Humanity realized that they weren't to blame for the conflicts and differences and emotional betrayals that have weighed so heavily throughout human history. Humanity finally understood that it wasn't their fault. They had simply been designed this way, and so humanity forgave their enemies just as they forgave us. And for the first time in the history of man, the entire world did something it had never done before in all of these years of existence. It moved on. We see back on Earth, Ellen forgives Jason. She tells him, "Of course I forgive you. I love you more than anything in the world, but could you just be one person from now on?" So wife number 1 is dead, so Jason is going to move on to wife number 2. By the way, I just want to point out that it was kind of established that when the heroes are in their secret identity, they're almost separate people with their own interests and personalities. So I kind of, in a way, feel, since that's been established, it's kind of weird for Ellen to just forgive Jason and be with him because she fell in love with Barney, a completely different guy, really, in a way, sort of. Anyway, continuing on with the narration of the aftermath of these events and how the world changed, the promise of heaven had been surgically removed, and so man was forced to create their own heaven down here. I'm gonna stop right there. What the fuck does that mean? So they took every human on the earth and surgically removed the thought of heaven from their brain? What the hell is Mark Millar saying here? Anyway, continuing on. This shift was seismic. Every human being began working together and creating a utopia like no one had ever dreamed of. Death was cured. That's pretty impressive. They cured death. No more death in the world. Loneliness was obliterated. I kind of think that's even more impressive than the curing death thing. In the entirety of human life now, no one's ever going to get a little lonely? Man, what a utopia they're creating here on Earth. Poverty and hunger are completely forgotten inside of a couple generations. And good ideas are contagious. And it wasn't long before other worlds in the galaxy got caught up in all the excitement, and a golden age of 1 trillion years, where something as big as the invention of the wheel seemed to happen almost every day. A man-made utopia, envied in the heavens, from one end of space to the other. We then have a flashback to 1929. Sheldon Sampson is talking to Walter. Walter says, "Do you really think we're gonna save the world, Sheldon?" And Sheldon answers, "I do, Walt. I really do. It might take a while, but we'll get there in the end. You just have to believe it." We now see Jason in an elementary school again, and Jason is finally answering the question, "What would I say to God if I met him?" Jason says, "That's a very good question. What does a superhero say to God at the pearly gates?" Thankfully, that doesn't matter because, remember, the promise of heaven had been surgically removed from humans. No, but Jason says he would say to God, "How can I help?" Later on, over in Siberia, Jason is there with his daughter Maisie, his new child, as well as his backup wife, as well as with his backup wife Ellen. Jason then talks about those 3 questions that his father was trying to determine the answer to many years ago. Those questions were, what are we? Who made us? And why do we love our children so much? Jason explains now. It's funny how silly those first two questions seem. All those years obsessing over nothing. Where we came from is absolutely irrelevant. It's what we do with our lives that matters in the end. Maisie asks, what about the last one, Dad? Why do people love their children so much? Why were we designed that way? Jason answers, because you're our chance to make up for our mistakes, little lady. Like my grandfather building the power rod for my dad. Loving our children saves the world. And with this, we end the story of Jupiter's Legacy. All right, so that was Jupiter's Legacy finale. Let me go through my thoughts on this one. Firstly, on the artwork, I really thought the artwork on the first two issues by Tommy Lee Edwards were top notch, and then I was kind of disappointed that we had two other artists doing the last three issues. I would have liked more consistency. I mean, this is kind of a big deal. This is the end of Jupiter's Legacy here, and you don't have a consistent artist, and there's very different styles on all the artists here. Disappointing, a little bit. But anyway, I did like how we had answers to all of the big questions. So what is that weird box thing? It's a translator device. All right. Why do the heroes exist? Because aliens put humanity here as basically cattle to like farm them and collect them later. And they gave some people on Earth powers to kind of manage the herd. And, they could wipe them out later anyway. So, you know what? I kind of am a little mixed on the explanation, but I appreciate that there was an explanation and it kind of made sense, I guess. So, yeah, all right. No, I thought this volume was a little bit rushed in a way, and kind of the big bad aliens that were secretly behind everything seemed to come a little bit out of nowhere. But still, it was highly entertaining. There was a lot of action in this volume, and it was pretty exciting. So in many ways, I was satisfied. There's a few things that didn't work for me, though, like the Prince Caius redemption arc, which I mentioned throughout the video. I thought was kind of dumb. I wasn't buying into that. I thought the way how Jason kind of saved the day was a little far-fetched. So Jason, he has the power rod, and he has the translator device, and somehow he just like figures out or knows that, hey, I can just use the translator device and talk to these nano clouds and get them to do what I want, overriding what these aliens that built these nano clouds designed. Jason just somehow knows the intricacies of that nano cloud technology shit, and he can somehow like take it over above their creators and make it destroy their creators. And I don't know. I'm not buying it. How you hack that shit and save the day in the end. And it was so quick. So yeah, I didn't like it. But whatever, fine. That's how he did it. He saved the day. And the aliens died, and the bad guys got their comeuppance. So I guess, whatever. I guess it was satisfying in a way. I did think Mark Millar kind of rushed and went a little bit too over the top with how great society on Earth is going to be in the aftermath of all of these events. So they cured death. They erased the thought of heaven from people's minds. They've cured loneliness. People don't get lonely anymore. And just a utopia in the entire galaxy thus forth. Kind of a little bit ridiculous, I think. But whatever, trying to give us a happy ending, and I guess we got that. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm a little mixed on this volume, but things I liked, things I didn't. Some action was cool, some was too much. I don't know. I'm going to give this one a 7.5 out of 10. Maybe 8. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm very curious to hear what you all thought of this conclusion. Do you think Millar stuck the landing or not? And what do you think of the answers? I'd love to know. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all again in the future with more comics.